and more. Quite frankly, take more and more responsibility away from DCF and keep kids from having to be engaged in our services in the first place. The frontline point, this goes right to my business background, and for you guys in business, you understand this. When we used to go and do consulting to corporations, we basically said, okay, well, what's the most important thing that you do? And usually is if it's somebody who makes something, it's the manufacturing process. And how do you put quality in what you make? And you've got to make sure that's the most important thing you do is create your widget the most efficient and the highest quality as possible. Or if you're a sales organization, the most important thing is your sales force. And how do you enable and empower that organization to be the best in their business, right? So at DCF, the most important thing we do is the front line. And our frontline investigators and case managers, that's all that really matters at DCF. The rest of us are administrative overhead. And we need to be doing everything in our power and checking out every day on what we do. Is it helping our frontline workers be the best that they can be? And we definitely don't have that. So in child protection investigations today, we have on average about a 40% turnover in child protective investigations. And so those of you who run businesses, you can't run a business at 40% turnover. You can't run a donut shop with 40% turnover, more or less in the investigative process. So, that obviously highlights we got a major business problem. And we see that in the quality of the work that we do. Our caseloads are way too high. Sometimes we don't have all the right information on a case to make that single most important decision in a family's life about whether you're going to move a child or what services to try to help that family. And if they don't have the time and the right information to make that decision, then obviously the probability of errors is going to go up quite a bit. And that's what I see in our business. So we've got to improve that process dramatically. And then I talked about the program improvements in the community. So let me just sort of jump into each of these. So on the front line, we've now launched 3 projects about improving the investigation process. And it starts with the hotline. And the legislature gave us money last session, in sort of the last hours of the session to start this project because they knew that we were under fire in terms of our ability just to, in essence, collect the information that's coming in from communities about abuse and neglect. So we're redesigning that process right now. We're going to move it from a data entry, data collection process, which is what it is today, where they collect the information, they ship it down to the regions, and then they say, regions, now you go deal with this. We're going to create more of a command center where information is coming in. We're not just going to collect the information. We're going to do some investigations on the phone then. We're going to bounce across databases, build a whole case, a point of view about that situation, and then send it down to the field, which will reduce the work effort on the investigator and also allow the investigator to sort of hit the ground running, so to speak, with immediate information. So if there's an immediate need at that moment, they have it. If the call needs to go straight to the sheriff, we'll send it straight to the sheriff. It'll be a much more responsive and complete process, and we're going to finish that this year. So that thing's happening right now. The number 2 point is this redesign of the investigation process, which will be the single biggest thing that we will take on while I'm here. And this is really just re-looking at how we deliver investigations from the ground up and figuring out what's the most efficient way that we can do this business function. So we've started that project. We put teams together where we're looking at the requirements. We'll be coming to the legislature this session with a spending package of what we need to do to completely improve this process, which will include both adjusting the organizational model of what are the roles and responsibilities of the people, but also empowering them with better technologies so that they can reduce the amount of time that they're sitting in the office and focus their time out in the field doing their job. So I truly believe we can have the best investigation system in the nation by doing that, and that's my goal here is to accomplish that in the next couple of years. We're going to implement some short-term changes immediately, and then we'll be rolling out significant change over time, which will affect a lot of you who are involved in interfacing with a lot of our investigators. The speed of the implementation will vary by community. We'll implement those in a very sequential type of process in every organization. And the timing, we really haven't all worked all that out. But the way we're implementing this is we're implementing it with people in our department and with our community partners. So we've set up teams, you know, from all across the state that are managing these efforts and sort of rethinking the policy and procedure of what it takes to do that. The third area is our case management function, which today primarily is done by our CBC organizations across the state. And this is